Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutirayet. We're continuing our reading of the Sri Caitanya-Caritamrta. So in the special portal that we've created for questions and answers, which is available on a link, you can enter your questions. There's also, it's a drop-down file for questions. Then you can also put in reflections. And there's also power phrases. So if you hear anything in the discussion in Prabhupada's purport, a power phrase is like a sutra, or you say, oh, that's a good phrase, like one sentence or a few words that are just so well composed that they seem like they should be isolated so they can be used again and again. And you can put that into, we're collecting them all. Everything that you put into this, not to frighten you or anything, is being saved and collected. We have a special database where all of the power phrases go, where all the questions go, and the questions will be considered more deeply. We're giving rather brief answers sometimes, and we'll go back and we're categorizing all the questions. Some of them are frequently asked questions, so we'll consolidate those and give more expansive answers to your questions so that you can go back and read all the information about the questions. So in the ongoing hearing and chanting sessions that we're having, everybody is encouraged. I encourage everyone to participate, be part of it, try to find the power phrases, try to reflect on things that will help give some more perspective to the conversation and so forth, and also be active if you wish. And if that doesn't help you in hearing and chanting, then you don't have to do it. But it's an invitation as a group exercise. And there's your link to ISV Library, the place where everything's going to be stored. And that includes anyone who speaks at ISV from now on will be, obviously we're already recording, but those things will be transcribed. And then you can go back and search the library for any kinds of content that you want to look for in the future. Thank you. And now to the Sri Caitanya-Caritamrta. We're taking up where we left off on the second chapter of Adi Lila. And this is text number 20. And it's a verse from Bhagavad-Gita. Atava bahunaitena kim gyatina tavarjuna vishtabhyaham idam kritsnam ikam shena stato jagat. The personality of God, Sri Krishna said, "What more shall I say to you? I live throughout this cosmic manifestation merely by a single plenary portion." A single plenary portion. So plenary is an adjective. As an adjective, it means unqualified, absolute. It also means of a meeting, to be attended by all participants at a conference or assembly. It's a noun. As a noun, a meeting or session attended by all participants. From late Middle English, from Latin, plenarius, complete. From plenus, full. Describing his own potencies to Arjuna, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna spoke this verse of the Bhagavad-Gita 4.2. Let's just follow that link. Purport: the Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universes by his entering into all things as the Supersoul. The Lord here tells Arjuna that there is no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. He should know that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as Supersoul. From Brahma, the most gigantic entity, on down to the smallest ant, all are existing because the Lord has entered each and all and is sustaining them. There is a mission that regularly propounds that worship of any demigod will lead one to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the Supreme Goal. But worship of demigods is thoroughly discouraged herein because even the greatest demigods like Lord Brahma and Shiva represent only part of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. He is the origin of everyone born, and no one is greater than him. He is Asvamardva, which means that no one is superior to him and that no one is equal to him. In the Padma Purana, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the same category with demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. If, however, one thoroughly studies the different descriptions of the opulences and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. That's an important sentence. I'll read it again. In the Padma Purana, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna to be in the same category with demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. That's Yastu Narayanam Devam, Brahma Rudradi Daivatai. If, however, one thoroughly studies the different descriptions of the opulences and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. So it's important to know the energies of the Lord and to be able to appreciate his presence everywhere. For instance, there are vibhutis that Krishna mentions in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita, where he tells Arjuna and all of us that in looking out throughout the material creation, we'll notice various entities that represent him. For instance, of bodies of water, I am the ocean. When I drive from my home over to Half Moon Bay, I go down the 101 freeway and catch the 280 to the 380, and then I go back up over Skyline Drive. And once I get to the top of the drive, which is a steady climb, I come down and I see the ocean, and I always have an overwhelming feeling of peace and awe, because the ocean is inexorable. It's also mentioned in many examples that Krishna gives. For instance, in the Bhagavad-Gita, the second to the last verse in the 2nd chapter, in which he says, Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudramapa prabhishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam prabhishanti sarve sashantamapnoti nakamakami. Here he's saying that the ocean is always steady, and similarly somebody fixed in spiritual life is always steady. And if we've heard this from the Bhagavad Gita and we remember the various analogies and we see the ocean as Krishna, then we'll be inspired and we'll remember this is a spark of Krishna's splendor. Once in Hawaii, the devotees would go to the beach sometimes and then swim and come home and do their services. And one of the devotees, Sudama, said to Prabhupada that, I think we're in Maya at the beach, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said that Krishna is the light of the sun. He's also the ocean. He said, how can you be in Maya? And from this we can understand the perspective. We can be in the material world and not seeing Krishna. We're separated from him because of our lack of vision, due to lack of cultivating spiritual knowledge, and therefore we're absorbed in the material energy. Pratertam yat pratyeta na pratyeta chapmani tadvidyadatmano mayam yatabhaso yatatamaha. If one sees anything as separate from Krishna, that is known to be Maya, or the illusory energy. So it's from our perspective that we see Maya. The same material energy which is seen in relationship to Krishna is, as Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur says, the abode of joy, because he's appreciating Krishna within everything. And not only that, he's seeing it as the place where he can do service. So this is the change in perspective. And continuing in the purport, if, however, one thoroughly studies the different descriptions of the opulences and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Sri Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. The Lord is all-pervading by the expansion of his partial representation, the Supersoul, who enters into everything that is. Pure devotees therefore concentrate their minds in Krishna consciousness in full devotional service. Therefore, they are always situated in the transcendental position. Devotional service and worship of Krishna are very clearly indicated in this chapter in verses 8 through 11. That is the way of pure devotional service. How one can attain the highest devotional perfection of association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been thoroughly explained in this chapter. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana, a great acharya in the disciplic succession from Krishna, concludes his commentary on this chapter saying, Yet Shakti Leshat Suryadya Bhavatyat Yugra Tejasa Yet Angshena Dhritam Vishvam Sa Krishno Dashamir Chute. From Lord Krishna's potent energy, even the powerful sun gets its power. And by Krishna's partial expansion, the whole world is manifested. Therefore, Lord Krishna is worshipable. And back to the Caitanya-Caritamrta. Tam imam aham ajam shariram bhajam hridi dishtitam atmakalpitanam pratidrisham iva naikadharakam ekam samadhi gatosmi vituta bheda moha. Grandfather Bhishma said, as the one sun appears differently situated to different seers, so also do you, the unborn, appear differently represented as the Paramatma in every living being. But when a seer knows himself to be one of your own servitors, no longer does he maintain such duality. Thus, I am now able to comprehend your eternal forms, knowing well the Paramatma to be only your plenary portion. Purport. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.42 was spoken by Bhishma Dev, the grandfather of the Kurus, when he was lying on a bed of arrows at the last stage of his life. Arjuna, Krishna, and numberless friends, admirers, relatives, and sages had gathered on the scene as Maharaj Yudhishthira took moral and religious instructions from the dying Bhishma. Just as the final moment arrived for him, Bhishma spoke this verse while looking at Lord Krishna. Just as the one sun is the object of vision of many different persons, so the one partial representation of Lord Krishna, who lives in the heart of every living entity as the Paramatma, is a variously perceived object. One who comes intimately in touch with Lord Krishna by engaging in his eternal service sees the Supersoul as the localized partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'll read that again. One who comes intimately in touch with Lord Krishna by engaging in his eternal service sees the Supersoul as the localized partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is very nice because the point is each one of us are eternally related to Krishna. Sanitya nitya sambandha prakritischa paraivasa. We all have that eternal connection in a loving relationship with Krishna that's extremely intimate. It's the most intimate thing, and it's the only satisfying feature of our existence at all. Yene ravindaksha vamuktamaninas tvesta bhavada vashuddha bhutaya aruya krishnena paramparam tata patantyato nadrita yushmarangraya. The demigods praying to Lord Krishna within the womb say, unless we have this sense of relationship with Krishna and enter into it, then whatever any other kind of achievement we make in our life is not satisfying at all. And we'll fall down from that. It won't sustain us. So we should try for this intimacy. And how is it achieved? It's mentioned in the sentence itself. One who comes intimately in touch with Lord Krishna by engaging in its eternal service. So this is the power of devotional service, that anyone, even from the beginning position, can start to serve him through the 9 processes of devotional service. Iti pumsarti pita vishnu bhaktischin navalakshana kriyata bhagavad-Gita tad nama ditam uttamam. There's a way in which, if you consider ahead of time what is the direct means to serve Krishna, and then you understand through Shastra it's the 9 processes of devotional service, and with that intention you go into the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, then this is the best thing. Intimate. Intimate means closely acquainted, familiar, close, as in intimate friends. They were on intimate terms. It means of a place or setting, having or creating an informal, friendly atmosphere. That's Vrindavan. Involving very close connection. That's devotional service. Detailed and thorough. Devotees who serve Krishna, they get detailed and thorough knowledge of his personality, the things he wears, the things he likes, the friends that he has. Then the second definition is private and personal. We have a private and personal connection with Krishna. A noun, a very close friend. Krishna again. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita, I'm your best friend. So we have a very close friend, and that's Krishna. He's the Suhrit. It comes from early 17th century as a noun, from late Latin intimatus, past participle of Latin intimare, impress, make familiar, from intimus, inmost. So intimate, it's pronounced differently, imply or hint, state or make known, imply or hint, parokshabad. So we all have intimate relationship with Krishna, and it's achieved by this process of devotional service. I just want to look at the verse, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, please. Iti pumsar pita Vishnu bhaktis chennavalakshana kriyeta Bhagavad-Gita. Seventh canto, of course.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes. Can we just look at this verse really quick? 1 second. Yes, seventh canto. Verse number. Okay. 7:5:23 through 24. This is a very important verse. 7:5:23 through 24. Here, Sri Prarado Vacha. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasya, Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. So this lists the 9 direct processes of devotional service. And then Prahlad Maharaj says, Iti, thus, Pumsa Arpita, offered by the devotee, Vishnu, unto Lord Vishnu, not to anyone else. Bhakti, devotional service. Chet, if. Navalakshana, possessing 9 different processes. Kriyeta, one should perform. Bhagavati, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ada, directly or completely. Tat, that, manye, I consider, ditam, learning, uttamam, the topmost. The translation of this verse is, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Yeah, so one should dedicate oneself to Krishna directly by these processes. And furthermore, in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find that if one takes to the direct method of worshiping the Lord, If you look at 11:2-12, please. Then all misgivings and anarthas will be eradicated. This verse says, Shruto nu patito dhyata adrito vanumodita sadhya punati saddharmo deva vishva druho pihi. Pure devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord is spiritually so potent that simply by hearing about such transcendental service, by chanting its glories in response, by meditating on it, by respectfully and faithfully accepting it, or by praising the devotional service of others, even persons who hate the demigods and other living beings can be immediately purified. You like it? What's not to like? Okay, purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented that the word Saddharma refers to Bhagavata Dharma. That is also confirmed by Sridhar Swami. Bhagavata Dharma is spiritually so powerful that even those who by worldly standards are implicated in various ways in sinful behavior can easily be purified by adopting any of the processes mentioned in this verse. In the practice of ordinary piety, one worships God with the expectation of receiving something in return for one's service. Similarly, the impersonalist aspires for his own liberation, wishfully thinking that he will become equal to God. In Bhagavata Dharma, however, there is no such impurity. Bhagavata Dharma is devotional service to the Lord in which the only objective is the satisfaction of the Lord. If one rejects this process and instead wants to hear about, teach, or meditate upon other processes, the chance for immediate purification is lost. Neither ordinary materialistic yoga processes meant for achieving mystic powers nor impersonal processes based on speculation have the power to purify immediately those who have fallen into sinful behavior. Saddharma or Bhagavata Dharma, pure devotional service to the Supreme Personality Godhead, is unique in that even the most fallen souls can immediately rise to the highest perfectional stage by surrendering at the lotus feet of Krishna or as pure devotee. This was vividly demonstrated by the preaching work of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially in the case of the sinful brothers Jagai and Madai. The direct process of devotional service. Iti pumsarti pita Vishnu, bhaktis chenna valakshana. Kriyeta Bhagavad-Gita, back to the verse. Tanmanye ditam uttamam. So tanmanye means that. Manye, I consider. Prahlad Maharaj is saying. Aditam, learning, uttamam. This is the topmost. And this is, of course, in response to his father's question, what's the best thing you learned so far? And he answers like this, saying, these direct processes of devotional service are the best. So we can go back to wherever we were, Caitanya-Caritamrta. Can you point me to where we are? Here only. Just as the one sun is the object of vision of many different persons, so the one partial representation of Lord Krishna, who lives in the heart of every living entity as the Paramatma, is a variously perceived object. One who comes intimately in touch with the Lord by engaging in his eternal service sees the Supersoul as the localized partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhishma knew the Supersoul to be a partial expansion of Lord Krishna, whom he understood to be the Supreme Unborn Transcendental Forms. Sukeshwari, go ahead.
Prabhu, I was just going to mention that the volume was low, Prabhu, for some of us. So we were not able to hear you very clearly. But I'm just trying to use my headset now. I think this is better.
You don't have to use your headset if it's working properly. Is it not working properly now?
On my laptop, I wasn't able to hear you very clearly, Prabhu.
Is everybody else having a similar problem?
See, I'm not having a problem, but Venugita also mentioned that she could not hear.
Even we are not having problem, Mataji.
It's good for us.
It's low for me too.
It's 50-50.
Taking from the
Yes.
laptop, it seems, not from your external microphone.
Comparatively, it is lower.
Still?
It's a little low actually.
So is there anything I need to do?
Uh,
I'm speaking right into a microphone here.
yeah, but I think it's not picking it from microphone, Maharaj. It is picking up from your system. It's, maybe there is a one button at the left corner bottom where it says like from what is the microphone? Select a microphone.
Okay. Maybe, yeah, you're right. That's what happened. That is terrible.
Actually, it was really good because we really strained to listen to you and we had to focus really well.
Okay, hold on. Please wait 1 second. Somebody do something entertaining while I'm away. I have to see what's going on here.
Avantika. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Now that was nice. Can you hear me any better now?
Yes.
Much
Yes,
better.
yes, yes, bro.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. You can always interrupt and let me know when these things are happening. I saw a lot of activity here on the right, but I didn't know it was about my microphone. Okay. We have a couple of points that have come in. One's a reflection from Sri Madhava Mahotsava. With reference to Krishna expanded into many as Paramatma, I'm reminded of Srila Prabhupada's example that the sun is situated in one place, but if you ask anyone within 5,000 miles, they'll all say the sun is shining on my head. Yes, Prabhupada brought that up about his son. He said his son kept commenting wherever they went, the sun is following us. Max Gray, Hare Krishna, Bhakta Max. I thought that devotional service did not begin until Diksha, as stated in Madhya Lila 15:108. So, do no services actually serve Krishna until Diksha or not? No, just all services to Krishna count. And initiation is a process. It's not an event. It starts with the process of purifying oneself, readying oneself to take the vow, taking the vow. Then there's stages of development from accepting the name of Krishna from a Vaishnav, and then taking second initiation, which is mantra diksha, and then entering into deity worship, and so forth. So it always counts. But when one wants to solemnize the relationship with Krishna, then, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions, Dikshakali Bhaktakari Atma Samarpan, Shekali Dikshakari Bhakta Atmasam. That when one decides to take Diksha, although one's practice of devotional service always counts, even if one incidentally says Hare Krishna, that counts. Then Krishna says it's an act of surrender, Atma Samarpana, entering into Diksha. And at that time, he said, I accept the living entity to be as good as myself. And then Max says, the background for my question is I was speaking to a devotee and I said, I feel like I'll never even be eligible to receive Diksha. And he pointed me to Madhya 15.108 and said, service doesn't even begin till Diksha. That's we can serve Krishna at any stage. In the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, Yat karoshi yat ashnashi as johosi dadasi yat tapasya sikonteya tat kurushvam arpanam. This, according to our acharyas, is a verse meant for anyone who's, even though ensconced in material life, can begin by doing service by offering whatever he or she is doing to Krishna. And Krishna also says in Gita, Neha bikramanashosti pratyavayona vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. That even the smallest endeavor to serve Krishna is accepted by him. So then it's just a matter of the quality of service that we perform to Krishna. And if one enters into the system of accepting a Vaishnav, the shelter of a Vaishnav, and there are Shiksha gurus, there's a Diksha guru also who gives the mantra, and if you accept that with a vow, then you become even closer to Krishna and your service becomes more refined. And this is the impetus that those who are advancing on the spiritual path feel. For instance, Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangata Bhajana Kriya, as is said by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in the beginning, there's an awakening of faith. And that is a sense that devotional service is very attractive and it's very good and I'd like to do it. And from that, one wants to associate with devotees. One finds the association of devotees appealing in all ways and tries for that sadhu sangha. And then from that sadhu sangha, it's natural that one will then become refined in one's practice and want to take up some vow. And this is bhajana kriya, entering into the process of taking shelter of Vaishnav and then taking the initiation vows. And then, of course, one goes through a narta nivriti and then comes to the point of nishta, then ruchi, then asakti, then bhava, and then prema. So there's a step-by-step process in devotional service. Then we have a power phrase from Mayank, who knows what a power phrase is. Rise to the highest professional stage by surrendering at the lotus feet of Krishna. Nice. Sri Madhava Mahotsava, another reflection, in reference to ordinary piety, where one expects something in return for worship. I'm reminded of when I drove by a prosperity church and their website on the sign was www.stacksofcash.com. Tinkerbell asks a quick question. You advise that devotees see the situation as a way to do service as opposed to being Maya, separate from Krishna. How do we reconcile bathing at beach as service? Is it like self-care? Well, you got to take a bath, right? You can take a bath in the ocean. Swimming in the ocean, by the way, is an auspicious activity because all the holy rivers enter into the oceans. And therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates would regularly bathe in the ocean. So if you go to the ocean and you understand this is Krishna, and you also think all the holy rivers have entered in here, and you take bath in that mentality, then it's purifying because you're remembering Krishna. If you go there and think, Yahoo, I look so good in a bathing suit, and you're thinking of other things, then you're in Maya. So the difference is in consciousness only. Amit Prabhu says, even though we know that Krishna is seated in everyone's heart and we should not disrespect anyone for that matter, why is this still so difficult? And how can we take steps to get better in this process of not offending and disrespecting anyone? It's difficult because the gunas, or the modes of nature, are binding, and they take some time to cleanse from our consciousness. And the The solution is to chant Hare Krishna without any offense. And if we do that, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, that the modes of nature that are obscuring our vision of ourself and of Krishna and of seeing others as being parts of Krishna will become purified. So you have to chant Hare Krishna a lot and for a long time, very seriously. And you'll come to this vision of Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmani Gavi Hastani Shuni Chaiva Shrapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. Okay.
Maharaj,
Yes.
in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.12 verse that you had quoted, and you had explained that it's pure devotional service that you were covering, I wanted to ask, the point covers appreciating the service done by others, praising the devotional service of others. So when it actually encompasses everything that you've been telling us for so many years, not to offend Vaishnavas, that what you appreciates, and stuff like that. And I really like that this verse brings everything together.
Good verse, right?
Yeah, it's very good.
It's a flat out winner.
It's a keeper. And I wanted to ask you, so this talks about pure devotional service. And again, it explains devotional service that anybody does. Appreciate it and respect it and talk about it, and you will grow from it. But how do you recognize pure devotional service versus devotional service of someone who is still in training? Is there a real difference when in appreciating it?
Well, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, if someone's practicing mixed devotional service, you have to see that it's pure devotional service mixed with something else, so there must be some pure devotional service there. And in the way of appreciation, those who are more civilized and refined and highly advanced in devotional life tend to be able to find that more than those who are in lower consciousness. In fact, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the gradations of appreciating capacity or the lack thereof according to one's advancement. And he says that those who are uncultured, when they see a good quality in somebody else, they think then that it won't last. For instance, if they see somebody giving charity, you might think, oh, that's a good thing. But actually, he'll get puffed up because he'll get famous for this. And then later on, he won't actually be very humble and it'll corrupt him. So actually, it's not good. So he discounts it. And then another person they'll see that there's good qualities and bad qualities in somebody, and then they just prefer to see the bad quality, and they only point that out. And the worst of them is somebody, there's no faults in somebody, but somehow or other that person is able to find a fault. So he describes these three gradations. And in those who are advanced, the sadhus, so if there is a person mixed, and they have good qualities and bad qualities, the sadhu is the one, he actually goes digging and he finds the good quality. For instance, he gives this as an example that, let's just say the householder, he gets robbed, not burgled, but robbed. Somebody comes in the house with a gun and says, give me all your stuff. And so he hands over the stuff, and then this person, he has a tendency to find the good in others. Think, wow, actually, you had a gun, he could have killed me, but he didn't. And probably, he was really hungry, so he needed the money. So, he's actually a good person, he didn't kill us. And then he talks about the next level above that, where, the person is able to always see the good side and not the bad, even though the person has good and bad qualities. And the highest level of the sadhus, the sadhutama, is somebody where there's somebody that apparently has no good qualities at all. Nobody can find him, but somehow or other he finds it. He finds a good quality where there are none. And so there's these two ways of looking at the world. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the ways of finding the good in others can be practiced. Of course, we're not Pollyanna. The Shastra says that if somebody is violating the devotional principles, for instance, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami includes the verse, Shruti Smriti Paranadi Panchatriki Vidimbina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Pattayaiva Kalpate, that if somebody is practicing devotional service but neglecting the Shrutis and Smriti Panchatraik Vidi, it's a disturbance to society. Therefore, if someone points out that somebody is not strictly following the Shastra, that's not finding fault, it's discriminating about what's actually correct and not. Srivas Pandit Prabhu, did you have a comment?
No, Prabhuji. So sorry. I just temporarily unmuted it.
Well, that's good for all the whole world when you temporarily unmute anything. Hare Krishna. Speaking of sadhutamas, then we have, Bhakta Alex, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Hare Hare.
I really liked when you looked up the definition of intimate and how our relationship with Krishna is intimate. And one of the things it said was that it's private and personal. And so it's nice because we're used to worshiping Krishna and talking about Krishna with devotees, which is very nice, obviously. But it's also really nice to think about how there's a very almost secret, like personal bond that you and Krishna share, and how like the ultimate manifestation of that is Parakiya Ras, which I don't know much about, but just the idea that it's something so secretive, but also so deep and like so substantial, but at the same time, it's like only a few people really know about it, like intimate associates. So I thought that was really sweet and special and inspiring, to cultivate that.
Sure. Yeah, Brihad Bhagavatamrita mentions that one may begin to feel Krishna's presence in one's chanting and one's practice of devotional service, and one may get intimate realizations from him. And these types of realizations are not meant to be shared freely because they can be misunderstood. In fact, the author says, for such revelations, one shouldn't, he says, such intimate revelations should not be revealed even to one's own mind. So there's this way in which the devotee covets these realizations and careful about them. Of course, if you have intimate connection with some Vaishnavas at the right time and place, it could be shared. But even if you know the story that Pundarik Vidyanidhi, when he had criticized the pujaris in Jagannath Puri on Odana Shasti, the time in which the Lord gets new cloth. And he saw, when he went for darshan, did Pundarik Vidyanidhi, that the pujaris had given unwashed starched cloth, brand new, but it was starched. I mean, it was like fresh off the presses. And he became indignant, and he thought, what are these pujaris doing? They don't know what they're doing. They're offering the Lord such things. And that night, when he was sleeping, Krishna and Balaram came to him in a dream, and they said, how dare you criticize our pujaris? And they began slapping his face again and again. And when he woke up, his cheeks were swollen. So he didn't go out and advertise it, but his cheeks were swollen, and the devotees who were intimates of him could understand what had happened, and they appreciated his intimate relationship with Krishna. So there is a way in which one shares with the intimate circle of devotees certain things at the right time and place, circumstance, or there's a way in which devotees can understand through the practice of another that he or she is intimately in connection with Krishna through service.
That's really nice. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yes, thank you very much. I like this other point about intimate. if you intimate something, it's something that you're saying indirectly, but only those who are intimate with the situation and know the inside can understand. So this is also when you're, for instance, we saw with, if you're familiar with a culture, as an example, then just say a guru-disciple relationship, and then let's say the disciple knows the intimate desires of the guru. And then if the guru is sitting there and then sort of nods his head in a certain direction, then you'll see the disciple jumps up and goes and gets a glass of water because he knows, my guru always takes water at this time, so that's what he meant. And he knows that's what it is. He intimated that that's what I want. So those who are serving Vaishnavas, they become intimate. And part of that intimacy through service is knowing what is the desire. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Rupa Goswami was intimate with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he knew his desire. Mano Bhishtam. He knew what is the innermost desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore he knew how to serve him. There's a way in which during the Rathayatra ceremony, Rupa Goswami heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu singing a song. It was a popular song of the time, like something you would hear on the radio. I want to hold your hand, and there's a way Rupa Goswami heard that, and he could understand why Mahaprabhu was singing that song. Mahaprabhu was singing the song as he was feeling separation in the mood of Radharani with Krishna. So then later, Rupa Goswami wrote a poem that was exactly parallel to that verse, and then he put it on the thatched roof of his little hut, and he went to take bath in the sea. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, coming back at a different time, found that in the roof of Rupa Goswami's hut, and he pulled it out and read it. And when he met with Rupa Goswami, he lightly slapped him and he said, "How did you know my heart? How did you know that that's what I was thinking?" As the devotee comes to know Krishna's heart. And that's the thickening process of devotional service. As mentioned, Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiyavartam stane stita shrutikatam tanuvan manobir ye prayaso jita jito pyasitais trilokyam. If a devotee gives up trying to speculate about Krishna and becomes submissive in hearing Bhagavat, from the Bhagavatas and from the Bhagavatam, then gradually, Jita Jito, he's able to conquer Krishna, becomes an intimate associate. And only those who are intimate in friendship and in love can conquer another. And you'll see that with somebody who's has a loving friendship with somebody, then that friend really has a way of being a controller. Or even a disciple who is so dedicated to service to a spiritual master, and the spiritual master feels indebted and wants to pour out his or her heart to the person who's a servitor. So devotional service is a matter of intimacy, how to become more closely acquainted, more familiar, to know the innermost desires of the heart of the Guru and of Krishna. And that's intimate devotional service. Otherwise, the other kinds of service to God are not so intimate. They don't bring us to that point. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talked about this with Vyankatabhata. In his stopover in South India, he stayed with Vyankatabhata, and they discussed the intimacy of devotional service. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's point, which he made by quoting a verse from Bhagavatam, Nayam Sukhapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutaha Gyaninam Chatmabhutanam Yata Bhakti Matam Iha, that only by intimate devotional service can one come to know Krishna completely. Otherwise, if one is a jnani or a yogi, what to speak of a karmi, one can't know Krishna because the approach is wrong. One's attitude is wrong. But through bhakti, and that means following in the footsteps of those who are already intimate with Krishna, then one, in that same mood, then can also become an intimate servitor of the Lord and know his inner heart and so forth. That's a true happiness in life, to know these, to have such a relationship with a Vaishnav, and then subsequently with Krishna. Because the Vaishnavas carry Krishna within the heart. If you're associating with someone who is having intimate realizations, which are displayed, according to Madhvacharya, by the steadiness of the Vaishnava and by the merciful vibration that's coming from such a person, then you'll also become intimate by becoming intimate with that person, serving the servant. Become a servant of the servant. Let's see if there's anything else. I'm going back to the live questions, just in case anything else came in. And it did.
Guru Maharaj?
Yes?
I was reminded when you were saying that when the Vedic Kirtan pastimes, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates are entering Jagannath Puri, and King Prataparuja instructs that you should serve them all according to their indications and basically their needs without them being verbalized.
Yeah. And that's intimate service. You see by their intimations that what kind of service to render, and that's very sweet. That's the most sweet. Yes, thank you for remembering that. It's so much about intimacy in that pastime, the Veda Kirtan pastimes, and we see also how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, following the external etiquette of a sannyasi, didn't want to meet with King Prataparuja. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who talked to Prataparuja Maharaj, understood his heart, that he's very surrendered to Mahaprabhu. In fact, he doesn't even want to be king anymore if he can't have his darshan. And so Sarvabhauma came to Mahaprabhu and he told him this, and Mahaprabhu said, I won't stay here anymore if you keep insisting on these things. This is going to be the end of my sannyas, meeting with a king. It's not possible. And then Ramananda Roy came and he said that when I asked for leave from my service from Prataparuja Maharaj, he not only granted me a complete leave, but he also gave me full pay, pension. And he said, I've not seen such a great devotee. And now when Mahaprabhu heard that, he's hearing from his intimate devotees, Sarvabhauma and then Ramananda Roy, Mahaprabhu commented that if he's dear to you, then he's dear to me. And this started opening the door to Mahaprabhu's heart. And then what really opened his heart was when he saw Prataparuja Maharaj rendering service. Now he swept the road in front of Jagannath's cart. He humbled himself. So this is the other way to become close to a Vaishnav or to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's playing the part of a Vaishnav, and that is to render some menial service. With your hands, you render something, and you do something to please the devotee or the Lord that's practical. And then, of course, he was able to massage the Lord's feet and recite verses from the Bhagavatam that so much ingratiated him to the Lord that the Lord embraced him and said, you've given me so much by this. So the Caitanya-Caritamrta is showing how the principles of the Bhagavatam are carried out in devotional life. And this is what actually keeps us away from Maya. When we have intimate relationships with devotees, with the Guru, and with serving the deities, and we're feeling that, that's the only fortification from Maya. Because Maya comes before us and says, no, be intimate with me. You know, people advertise like this. You know, you can have an intimate relationship with Maya. But Maya is not very accommodating. Once you try to have an intimate relationship with Maya, then you'll find there's many problems, and you'll become devoured by that. So devotional service really means more and more developing this subtle and intimate relationship. It doesn't have to be subtle. It can be exhibited through external cultivation of service, but it becomes a deeper and more pronounced. Vaikuntha Nayaka, Hare Krishna.
Danda Pranam, Guru Maharaj.
Great to see you.
Maharaj, can I ask one question? It's on the theme of...
We insist upon it.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, we know that actually Srila Prabhupada was most strict, and he was toughest on his, what we can say, the most intimate of his disciples, the inner circle, right? So one part of my brain says, oh, okay, can I even take this kind of chastisement? And it says, okay, maybe it is better to be a bit far and go easy rather than go close. Even though I know that that chastisement is mercy, right? But one part of my brain says, will I really be able to take it, or should I really aspire for that? I don't know if I articulated my question correctly, but...
Yes, you should aspire for it, and you shouldn't worry, because if one's intentions are correct and one's really trying to do service, then whatever kind of anomalies or missteps are there in the service that one gets corrected for, then the rectification will be close at hand. Because really, rectification has to do with one's own attitude. And if I'm doing something for the wrong motive and I get chastised, then of course we can adjust our motive, and that's often why we're chastised, because the intention was wrong or the motive was wrong. But it is purifying. It is something you'll notice that advanced devotees hanker for, because if you're not getting chastised at all or corrected, it means you're not doing anything practically. I mean, there's no way to do service without making some mistakes, and we should be on the lookout for ways to get good instruction so we can do it better. So the answer is really, we do service to perfect it and to make it more pleasing. And if we're not immune to chastisement, then we can more quickly advance. Just like even in normal norming, storming, norming, performing, and so forth, getting into a project, in the corporate level or something like that, if you think you're infallible and you can't make any mistakes, then it'd be very difficult to improve. But if you're always looking like, how can I do this better? And if even an underling comes to you and says, this isn't working right, you can say, oh, get out of here, what do you know? Or you can be enlightened and say, I'm hearing some important information. So if you're progressive in any field of life, you're open for feedback because you want to get better. So if you keep that as the goal, chastisement is actually nectar, because you go, okay, now I know how to do it better next time. So go for it. We have from Namasya, says, amazing about devotional service, it makes it very clear. I don't want to do any offenses, and these are really good teachings to guide to the right path. Good. Another reflection from Radha Venkat. Queen Kunti also talks about appreciating others' devotional service. Yes, she says, Shrinvanti Gayanti Grananti Sarava at 1:836. Grananti means to accept or appreciate. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, or repeat your transcendental activities, or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. So you can appreciate your way back to Godhead just by appreciating the devotees. And I've noticed that it's a discipline to overcome envy by glorifying the devotees. So if your mind tells you, okay, that person did something nice, but just get out a little pen and scratch that but out and put an and add to their glories. Try to glorify the devotees. And you'll notice that if you practice that discipline, that you'll advance in devotional service. Not only that, you'll elevate the conversation wherever you go, because there's a tendency through the principle of envy that whatever someone does, no matter how great, I want to bring something in that shows that it wasn't that great. So don't do that. Just don't do it. Do the other thing instead and see how different it is. Sri Antariksha Prabhu says, with reference to the pastime of Pundarik Vijayanidhi and the Sevatas of the Puri temple, can we say that the Lord was more intimate with Pundarik Vijayanidhi than the servants of the temple? Well, they're both intimate in their own ways. I mean, the servitors of the temple, the Lord declared himself, they're very dear to me. So if they offer me this starched cloth, I appreciate it because they're my servitors. There's something simple about that he loved. Even Nilamadava was worshipped by the Shabaras in the forest, and he appreciated their simplicity. So there's a kind of intimacy there. But there's no doubt Pundarik Vijayanidhi is the topmost advanced devotee. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before he appeared there in Puri, was calling out for him, missing him. And it was revealed the advanced nature of Pundarik Vijayanidhi when Mukunda told Gadadhar Pandit that I know of the most intimate devotee. Would you like to meet him? And Gadadhar, simple, pure devotee, said, yes, I would like to meet him. So Mukunda took him to Pundarik Vijayanidhi's house. Beautiful house, fully ornamented and full of servants. He came up to the room of Pundarik Vijayanidhi, who is reclined on an opulent bedstead. He had hair oiled with the finest scented perfumes. He had golden ornaments everywhere. His room was anointed with vases of the highest quality filled with flowers. A servant was fanning him. He was relaxed mood, and immediately to Gadadhar Pandit, he looked like a worldly enjoyer. And Gadadhar Pandit thought in his mind, this is an advanced Vaishnava. Understanding his mind, Mukunda then, to evoke the mood of Pundarik Vijayanidhi, which is just below the surface of all this opulence, recited a verse from the Bhagavatam, Aho Bhakiyam Stanakala Kutam Jigam Sayapayat Apyasadvi, which is saying, oh my Lord, who would take shelter of anybody else but you, because you saved Putana, and she came to kill you. And this is a verse also that was recited by the disciples of Vyasadeva to attract the mind of Shukadeva Goswami in the forest and bring him back to hear the Bhagavatam. When Pundarik Vijayanidhi heard this, his ecstatic love for Krishna, which is there boiling in his heart, came to the surface, and he went into a mad ecstasy through which he was thrashing, and nobody could hold him down. For 3 hours he thrashed. He broke every piece of pottery in the room. The bedstead was in tangles. His hair went haywire. And all the jewels, bangles flew off, and they tried to hold him down, but they couldn't. Finally, he went into a kind of trance for hours where he didn't move. And then Gadadhar Pandit thought, I made an offense in my mind to this great Vaishnava. He said, I desire to take initiation from him. So on the way home, he told Mukunda, I made an offense. Also, I want to take initiation from this great Vaishnava. And when they met Mahaprabhu, Mukunda told the news that Gadadhar Pandit wanted to take initiation from Pundarik Vijayanidhi, and Mahaprabhu said, yes, do it immediately. This should happen right away. So he did. And externally one may not see, but the devotees, like Mukunda and others, know what's in the heart of the Vaishnava. Okay, we have Ramakrishna Prabhu says, I realize that Advanced Devotees Association is everything in bhakti. How to chant, how to serve, how to understand and apply life. Yes, sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koi, lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Perfection comes from association with the Vaishnavas and faith in the Vaishnavas. We have a Sringara Ras says, what exactly happens when we serve our spiritual master? How does the process work? Well, there's a way in which, of course, service means practical service, and there's a transcendental relationship with the spiritual master, who's a representative of Sri Hari, Krishna. This is in the Guruvashtakam. It's mentioned how Sakshad Dari Tvainastamasta Shastrer Ruktastata Bhavyata Eva Sadbhi Kintu Prabhorya Eva Priyatasya Vande Guru Shri Charanadavindam. The spiritual master is very dear to Krishna because he's a representative. So if one serves the Guru, as we heard in the first chapter of the Caitanya-Caritamrta, then Krishna accepts that service through the agency of the Guru. And so service means understanding what are the desires of the Guru to spread Krishna consciousness. As also is mentioned in Shastra that the disciples should serve the spiritual master, bring things that are important to take care of the body of the Guru. So all these kinds of things are practical, meaning there's something that you can do. And how does it work? It works through agency. As I mentioned before, Krishna is desirous of serving his own devotees, but devotees will never accept service from Krishna. As Krishna says in the Gita, 9th chapter, Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paripasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Vahami means that, the verse means that if somebody is fully engaged in serving Krishna with no other consideration, then Krishna personally carries to that devotee what he lacks. Vahami means by his own hand. It's not that he does it through the material nature or anything else. He's personally bringing to the devotee. The devotee, of course, only wants to serve Krishna, doesn't want to accept anything from Krishna. And therefore, if we take up service to an advanced Vaishnava, we're fulfilling Krishna's desire to serve that Vaishnava, and we become dear to Krishna by serving a Vaishnava. And also, if we're the servant of the servant of the servant of the Vaishnavas, or through the chain, we're serving those who are serving others who are serving others, it's also considered to be direct service, miraculously. In fact, the more one considers oneself the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, Prabhupada writes, 1,000,000 times removed. He said, this is real liberation, and this is the real connection, paradoxically. So you can become the servant of the servant, or the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. I can keep going here, but Prabhupada then just abbreviates it 1,000,000 times removed, and he said this is actual liberation, and that's the mood of service. So there's no dearth of opportunity to serve a devotee. And if one does that practically, then Krishna will be pleased. And by serving the Krishna directly, Krishna is not so pleased. He says in the Adi Purana that one who says he's my devotee is not my devotee. But one who says he's the devotee of my devotee, that's my devotee. So become the dog of a Vaishnav, this is one of the main principles, because it's not what you know that counts. It's who you know. And if you're with the Vaishnav and you just say, I'm with this Vaishnav, that's what I do. That's what my whole program is. I'm connected one way or another to a Vaishnav. Then you're connected to Krishna in a way that he becomes pleased, and it's considered intimate service by being a servant of the servant. Okay.
Guru Maharaj?
Yes.
I was just thinking, when you were saying that, how it's not who you know, not what you know, but who you know. In Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav, when it's related about how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati met his spiritual master, he says that everyone respected me for all my material qualifications, but Gaur Kishordas Babaji considered them all valueless. And so he said that this person must possess a great treasure if he doesn't see any of the things that other people have appreciated me for to be of any value. Then he surrendered to him.
Yeah, that's palpable. When you meet someone who has no worldly interest, there's a potency that comes from that person. The moment that I have a connection to the material world, that I want something, then the potency is obscured. And so we find with pure devotees, they have this immediately noticeable potency because of their full dedication to Krishna without the consideration of anything. They have no material desires, vested interest in the material world. As soon as there's a vested interest, there's a weakness. There's something that can be exploited. Just like if a president of a country has a vested interest in another country, that person becomes vulnerable because he can be exploited as he wants something out of the other country. And therefore, it is considered taboo if you're a leader of a country then to have some investment in another country, because then, of course, when you're putting sanctions or you're doing negotiations with that other country, you're going to think, yeah, but I got my thing over there, so I don't want it disturbed. Therefore, just in regular dealings, this is considered to be, it is called a conflict of interests. So in the material, if we have a conflict of interests, I'm serving Krishna, but I want something for myself from the material world, this obscures our potency. So the more that when we come in contact with those who have no conflict of interest, they're extremely powerful and their association is noticeably potent. Okay, then we have Sri Madhava Mahotsava. Did I read this one? With regards to intimacy with Maya, I was reminded of Srila Prabhupada's statement in the Bhagavad-Gita intro, actually, we are all swallowed by the tigress of nations. May I always remember this and always be careful in my practice. Yeah, it's not a pretty sight when a tiger decides to take a hunk out of you. There were two very famous performers in Las Vegas, Siegfried and Freud. I think they were Germans or Russians, and they had these beautiful white tigers. And for years, at one of the big hotels in Las Vegas, they used to do their show where they'd bring these tigers out and they'd play around with them. And I have no idea what they did exactly because I never saw it. But after many, many years, one of the tigers turned on one of them and just attacked him right on stage. And this is what will happen when you get intimate with Maya. You'll think, oh yeah, I got this tiger under control. And then one day, when you're least expecting it, tiger will turn and try to bite your head off. He incidentally just recently died of the COVID disease, which is the second thing that will happen because of Maya. So Maya's offers some kind of idea that you can be intimate with me. But it's the kind of intimacy that a praying mantis offers in a conjugal relationship with the other, with the counterpart. the female bites off the head of the male during intercourse. And this is during our connection with the material nature, when we think it's very nice, I'm very famous, I'm wealthy, everything like that. But eventually Krishna says, Mrityu sarva harashchaham, I'll come in as death, I'll bite your head off. And there you go, start over again. It's not very nice. It's actually unseemly for the living entity to come in contact with material nature and say, yeah, this is who I'm with now. Just like the Bhagavatam says, a low-class couple. Boy and girl come together and then they think they're the center of the universe because they're so much in love. And other people are looking at them and thinking like, give us a break, So advanced devotees, when they see people invested in the material nature and thinking, oh, I'm so intimate with the material nature, this is so nice, I'm cool. The devotees are feeling sorry for them and thinking, oh, poor jiva, come back to your senses. Wake up. You're making a fool of yourself. Get back to real intimacy with Krishna and start by chanting Hare Krishna. And reverse your course of investing in the material world. It's not working. Then we have Dhanavari says, let's see, how do we get in the mood of remembering that whatever we are doing is to please Krishna? I forget that even during my service. Example, chanting or offering. I'm thinking, if I chant my heart, I will get purified and will go back to God, and not thinking about pleasing Krishna. Thinking about going back to Godhead is not independent of pleasing Krishna. Krishna wants us to go back to Godhead. And Prabhupada writes that in the first canto, second chapter, 17th verse. He said he wants us to come back to Godhead more than we can desire. We are eternally his servants, and he wants us in his inner circle. And that inner circle means going back to Godhead. So if you desire to go back to Godhead, it's not that you're not thinking in a favorable way towards Krishna. So you can think like that. In fact, you should think, let me go back to Godhead. Otherwise, why does Krishna advertise it? In the Bhagavad-Gita, he says, Parastasmat tu bhavo nyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yat saksarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu navinashati. He said, this material world you're living in it's rocking, it's on fire, it's moving, it's being destroyed and created again. But there's a better place. Come to that better place. It's part of our whole practice is going to Krishna. Go back home, back to Godhead. That's the magazine. So going back to Godhead is our goal. You should think like that. Otherwise, how you get out of the atmosphere of the material world if you don't have somewhere really compelling that you want to go? Okay, so then we have Sringara Ras says, how do we know if we are doing right? Are there any signs that we can look for that would tell us if we're doing it in the right consciousness? Well, you can always ask about your particular motives and desires to your guru or to your advanced mentors and discuss it with them. This is the way I'm doing it. This is the way I'm thinking. And if you're checking in, then you'll have some indication. You can also read about the mood of the great devotees by reading the Shastra. You can also read Bhagavad-Gita and see what Krishna says about how to act. For instance, in the Gita, you can pretty much find out everything you need to know in the Bhagavad Gita. The only problem is people don't read the Bhagavad Gita. They move on to all kinds of other books and try to beat the system. The system is Bhagavad Gita. That's the base of everything. In this 12th chapter of the Gita, Krishna tells what the right mood of the devotee is. And he starts off by saying, one who is not envious. This is 12:13. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities. So you can ask yourself, am I envious? Or am I a kind friend to all living entities? Can you notice that? Then, next thing he says, the person who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego. Do you have to own everything? Do you have to be in the center of everything? Who is equal in both happiness and distress. Check yourself on that one. Can you remain equipoised in happiness and distress? Good things come, bad things come. If you go get your chart done, you know what the astrologers are going to tell you? I'm going to save you some money here. Astrologers are going to tell you there's some good in your life and there's some bad in your life, and it's going to be mixed. That's the summary of every chart you're ever going to hear from an astrologer. So if you're able to remain equal in the ups and the downs, this is the proper mentality. And then he says, the person who is tolerant. Are you tolerant? If you live with a roommate, a spouse, anybody else, can you tolerate the way they eat? Can you tolerate the kinds of things they tell you? Check yourself and see, are you tolerant? Are you always satisfied?
And then you have.
Are you always satisfied? Are you self-controlled? That you can test yourself on, especially during lockdown, because you got to live with yourself, right? For the most part, everybody, you get to stay alone in a room. Take a look at yourself and see, are you controlled and are you self-satisfied? Take a look and see. Are you engaged in devotional service with determination? Are your mind and intelligence fixed on Krishna? Just these two verses. Then Krishna says, he ends with saying, Yo mad bhakta same priya. Such a devotee, what's the such? Who has these qualities, is very dear to me. So read that and then compare it to the way you are in your life and see, where do I need to develop? This, Krishna says, is the imperishable path of devotional service. Imperishable path of devotional service means to please Krishna by taking on these qualities or practicing them and developing them by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, or Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. And then we have Mayank, who says, it's not what you know, but who you know. Yes, Gopi Puranadana Prabhu used to say that. Not that we shouldn't know anything, but it's more important who you know. Because if you know the right people, then, especially in the context of devotional service, you'll become dear to Krishna. I'm with him. I'm following. That's my program. Then you're in. Okay, then a reflection from Aniruddha Nitai Chand Prabhu. Maya is very powerful. It is difficult to identify Maya's trap by one's own endeavor. Sadhu Sangan. Yes, Maya sneaks in a tiny bit and doesn't come with a huge sign saying, hi, my name is Maya. I'm here to take away all your practice of devotional service. But Prabhupada said, like a silver-tongued salesperson comes to your door. Little advice, just don't open the door. Because as soon as you do, he or she's going to talk you into it. And you're going to buy an extra vacuum cleaner. You already have one. And your spouse will come home and you said, you did what? It's like, yeah, but she was so nice. And she said we really needed one. The old one doesn't work. And then, so Maya comes in if we open the door a little bit, and then we become lax in our devotional service. And we just think, well, maybe 15 and a half rounds is okay. And then the next thing it's 12.2 rounds. And then next thing it's like, well, I can chant every other day. And then you wake up 20 years later and your friend said, what happened to you? You can't even remember the Panchatattva mantra. And Maya will come in little increments. So everything counts in devotional service. Better to stay on top of the practice of devotional service, even if you do it in a simple way. Better to stay constant and steady and assume that you're not liberated. and assume that Maya is trying to attack you through every little hole that you leave in your life. And if you do that, that's the sign of somebody who's less apt to be overcome by Maya. And Chitralekha Saki Haribo, she says, please, what is the difference between desires for liberation, getting free from material miseries, and the desire to go back home, back to Godhead? The difference between desire for liberation. Liberation is a very selfish desire. In fact, it's considered the ultimate material desire, because after I didn't get my desires fulfilled in the material world, which means that I wasn't the full center of attention and the controller of everything, I realized I can't do that. Then I think through a spiritual path, I'm going to become God. This is the idea behind the liberation, that I'll merge into God and I'll become God. So through this process of jnana prayas, I'm thinking that I am God, I just forgot. So that's the last resort of Maya. And this idea is the opposite of that is realizing that Krishna is my boss, I'm his servant. And that's the difference between the desire for liberation and devotional service. So your question is, what is the difference between desire for liberation and getting free from material miseries and the desire to go back to Godhead? Well, the desire to go back to Godhead, first of all, is more a realization. Siri thought I was asking her something, but I'm not. It must have been embedded in the sentence. And it's a similar, when you say something like Ramada in, Ramada thinks you're advertising for, or Krishna hears Rama within that and considers it. So Siri's very generous like that. So getting free from material desires and the desire to go back to Godhead means understanding my relationship with Krishna, and that if I'm engaged in sincere practice of devotional service, there's a way in which, whether I'm here in this body or I've attained my spiritual body in relationship to Krishna in the spiritual world, I'm the same, because I know that when I leave this body, I'm going to continue my devotional service. And whatever situation Krishna puts me in, I'll be fully satisfied. In other words, if I'm practicing devotional service, I should get a sense that I feel satisfied in whatever condition I'm in now. And even if I'm not completely satisfied, I have the presence of mind to tolerate it, knowing that as Brahma says, Tate anukampam susamikshamanu bunjana evatma kritam vipakam, that whatever's happening to me externally is for my purification, and Krishna knows what he's doing. He's going to assign me another situation so I can go on serving him. And the point is, if that's my main prerogative, that I want to go on serving him somehow or other with as much facility as possible, then we'll be able to tolerate. In the beginning, this tolerance is advocated. For instance, in the 14th chapter of the Gita, and verses 22 through 25, in the purport, Prabhupada writes, Arjuna submitted 3 different questions, and the Lord answers them one after another. In these verses, Krishna first indicates that a person transcendentally situated has no enemy and does not hanker for anything. When a living entity stays in this material world, embodied by the material body, it is to be understood that he is under the control of one of the 3 modes of material nature. When he is actually out of the body, then he is out of the clutches of the modes of material nature. But as long as he is not out of the material body, he should be neutral. He should engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord so that his identity with the material body will be automatically forgotten. And then he goes on to say, how does the devotee become aloof? He does not desire to enjoy the body, nor does he desire to get out of it. This is neutrality. So it's an understanding that Krishna is taking care of everything, and the desire to go back to Godhead really should be one with the desire to be always engaged in Krishna's service, not to become necessarily free from material miseries, because we understand that we stay neutral in the midst of material desires. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam. We don't consider them. We just see that they're a product in the modes of material nature. Go ahead, Sukeshwari. I thought you were going to say something. And finally, Madhava Govinda gives this reflection: by being intimate with the devotee, by being their servant, one can become intimate to Krishna. Do you have a verse that you'd like to back that up with, Madhava Govinda Prabhu, since you're a scholar of the Shastras?
Gopir Padukamlor Dasanuta. I mean, the one that comes in Caitanya-Caritamrta. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopir Padukamlor Dasanudas. I mean, I guess, I don't know if it helps.
Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaisho nashudro naham varni nacha grepatir no manasto yatirva kintu prodyan nikila paramaranda purnamratabdir gopi bartu parakamalior das anudas. Can you explain that?
That verse means that I'm actually not. I'm none of the other designations of being a brahmana or anything else. But I'm just my real identity is that only I'm just a servant of of the devotees.
Yes. This is one of the verses that we recite before doing puja, before doing deity worship. It's part of the self-purification of the elements of the body, including the mind and the intelligence, just to remember who we are and what we're doing things for. And finally, we have my grandfather's name is Maya. My granddaughter's name is Maya. She is 8 years old and gets upset when she hears her name is bad. How can we help her feel better about her name? Oh, well, Maya, there are many different meanings for Maya, but we can understand that Maya is a great servitor of the Lord and of Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. There are many famous interactions of Maya Devi herself, who became a disciple of Haridas Thakur and so forth. So Maya is only bad for those who are full of material desires, but it's a glorious name. Prabhupada used all kinds of names for his devotees, for his disciples and so forth, and some of them included the name Maya. Okay, so someone tell us what we got out of today. 3 main points that we're taking away.
Initiation is not an event, it's a process.
Yes. Thank you.
Becoming intimate by what they intimate. That word was very, very intriguing, that intimate word.
Yes.
What is the intimating?
Yes.
We should always consider ourselves not to be liberated.
That's correct. Don't think I'm liberated and therefore I can take liberties to do whatever I want. And if that's the sign of a really strong devotee, and Prabhupada talks about this a lot and comments on the points that Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur makes in the first chapter of the 10th canto, that Devaki was always afraid of Kamsa. And because of that, she became purified. And Prabhupada mentions there that devotees should similarly always be afraid of the material energy. And just as Devaki was saved from the influence of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, and Matsarya, who were represented by the Shadgarbha Asuras. So similarly, when we become afraid of Maya, and we consider we're not liberated, that we can become captured at any second, then we also become freed from these tendencies. Yes, thank you. A couple more? Hansapriya.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I really like the point that you said that you, first of all, thank you for just, glorifying devotees one after another, points making. That's so wonderful to wake up with. And I just felt that it's so much beautiful for us to remember that devotees are happy, they're truly happy when they see other devotees doing nice services. And I just thought that what actually inspires us, that what us motivates us, because somehow or other we are here today because someone's services, glorifying their services, has brought us where we are today.
Nice point, Hansapriya. It's very practical too in our community. I noticed at one awards ceremony where the kids were getting awards, that the kids were genuinely cheering for the other kids who got awards. And I was thinking, and Nirkula and I discussed it on the way home, and since then many other times, that this is really a good sign. Because, you can develop a kind of competition in a community where you're thinking like, why that person's getting this? How come they're getting glorified and not me? I did more than he or she did or whatever. But if there's this sense of appreciation for the service of others, and when they get recognized, then we become happy. That's a sign that you're advancing devotional service. And the opposite, if you feel that pinching, like, why'd they notice him and not me? This is very indicative of some kind of anartha that's there. The competition's always there, but it's to please Krishna. And when we see somebody else gets recognized for it, then we become very happy.
I just wanted
That's a
to
good
add
sign.
something, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering that there was one time when you were just saying that I was just, trying to appreciate the kids, actually, really. There was a program, and then about 5 to 6 kids actually got together and they had practiced, and there were a couple people who were going to do mridanga and things like that. But at the point where exactly the program was going to happen, another small little kid got his mridanga and he wanted to do, and he had tears in his eyes. So these older kids, they made sure that he gets a chance. And even though they practiced all time, they just, and I didn't understand what was happening. I said, why is he doing it? Because he wasn't even there for the practice. He's like, no, it's okay. He's small. He doesn't understand. And he thinks that he needs to do it. I just felt that, I think that maturity, I don't know if I had that age. I felt that the kids are far mature.
Oh God, that's so nice. That's what makes a community sweet. It's this subtlety where there's actually a love, it starts with appreciation, and there's a love for others that let them shine. And when everybody's doing that, then there's no friction. There's nothing to hold us back in increasing our service to Lord Chaitanya. Even one American president said that there's no limit to how much you can get done when you don't care who gets the credit. But as soon as you want, I have a vested interest. It has to be me that is shown on this. Then subtly you hold back and you don't want to empower somebody else because you're thinking like, yeah, but they're going to get the credit for this. Don't worry about the credit. Krishna knows who's doing what, and it always comes out. And Radhanath Maharaj once told me he said there's a subtle law of karma in this. He said, if you accept a praise that you're not qualified for, then later on you'll get blamed that you didn't deserve. Karma is so subtle. And then we have Srivatsa said that I was reflecting on the Nayam Sukhapo Bhagavan verse. You're really getting intimate with Shastra if you're reflecting on Nayam Sukhapo Bhagavan, because this is a very pivotal and Raganuga verse. Rasika verse, as well as the value of devotional service. And I was reminded of a verse, Bhagavad Bhaktihinasya Jati Shastra Japatapa Apramasyaiva Dehasya Mananam Loka Ranjanam. It has a nice alliteration in there. High birth, Shastric knowledge, chanting of Vedic mantras and austerities are like decorating a dead body for public appraisal without devotion to Krishna. Well done, sir. Very good, Srivatsa. This is nice to bring out these verses that complement one another. And then Ramrati says, mercy is obscured if we have vested interest. A good example of this is when the demigods were watching the fight between Nrsimhadev and Hiranyakashipu. And when they saw Hiranyakashipu get out of the clutch of Nrsimhadev, they became extremely afraid because they thought that now he saw that we were rooting for the wrong side and he's going to punish us even more. And Prahlad had no fear because he didn't care. He was obviously he cared, but the point is he didn't have a vested interest in getting something out of the material world like the demigods did. So he mentions later that he's fearless. He wasn't afraid of Nrsimhadev, and he was also as he mentions, I'm not afraid of the material existence because I always have devotional service. Those who have a vested interest in the material world are afraid because they can lose something. Shraddha Devi Dasi says, my granddaughter's middle name is also Maya, and in that context, the word Maya or Atma Maya refers to the Lord's causeless mercy according to the Vishvakosh Dictionary, Bhagavad-Gita Purport 4.6, Bhagavad-Gita. There you have it. You can take that one to the bank. Thank you, Shraddha. AK says, but Devaki being eternal associate isn't already totally purified of anartas. These are not anartas. These are part of the Leela of Krishna, and they're showing through the lessons of their own activities how we can become purified. Anonymous, you mentioned to let others shine, but how can we remain humble if the other person is always craving the credit and they are not always in the right mood? How can we, you mentioned to let others shine, but how can we remain humble if the other person is always craving? You don't have to wait for other people to adjust themselves for you to be humble. And if you wait for everybody else, as soon as they adjust their life, then I'll develop this quality. Then you don't have any control over it. Humility means that you're a servant of Krishna and you depend on him for everything. So how can we remain humble? Is to remember that Krishna will rectify the situation. Of course, if it's in a situation communally where somebody needs some help, you can go to a higher authority in the community somewhere and say, this person's really disturbing the Sangha because of his or her mentality or activity, and then you can work it out that way. And that's still remaining humble as well. And Kamala said, please Sri Krishna by serving his intimate devotees. Thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of our discussions on Krishna's pastimes and the Caitanya-Caritamrta. And now we'll have the Guru Puja. We'll give 30-second break. Be right back. Namashreshtam manamapi shachiputramatra sarupam Shirupam tasyagrajam urupurim maturim goshtavatim Radha kundam girivaramoho radhika madhavasham Prapto yasya pratitikipaya shivaram tamtosmi Hey Guru Gyanadadina Bandho Swarandadata Koronaika Sindo Vrindavana Sinahita Avatar Prasida Radha Pranaya Pracharo Hey Dinabando Koronaika Sindo Kuru Prasadam Mai Mandamudhe Laksha Parade Bahupapa Gadhe Tatpada Padme Stumatishta Krishne. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavana, the divine Radhakunda and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore grace me with your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have a consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our heart with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Kati Sadma Bandon mui savadhanamate Jahara prasare bai E bhavato riyajai Krishna prapti hoy jahoy te Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Ikya Arna Koriho Mane Asha Shri Guru Charane Ratiye Shayu Tamagati Jai Prashade Pure Sarva Asha Jai Prashade Pure Sarva Asha Chakudan Diloje Janme Janme Prabhu She Dibya Gyan Hre Pokashito Prema Bhakti Jahoite Abidya Vinasa Jate Videgai Jahara Charito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Ha Ha Prabhu Koradoya Deho more padachaya ebe jash kushik tribhuvana. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nitai Gaur Haribo Haribo Tai Gaur Haribo Tai Gaur Haribo Nitai Gaura Premanande Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Shri Harinam Mahamantra Ki Sri Harinam Prabhu ki Gaur Premanande. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo, Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Stotra Shuddhi Shiman, Abhayacharana in the Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shilpatla Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Stotra Shuddhi Shiman, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Lila Pravishwa Mahamsa Babaji Shri Srila Gorkul Swargas Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Lila Pravishwa Shri Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Lila Pravishwa Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Charya Shri Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Shri Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Chaya Ki Jai. Jai Shri Srila Krishnas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Shri Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Mahashaya Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatt Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatt Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Swarup Damodar Shri Roy Ramanandadi Gaura Shakti Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Zakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Hari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Antar Deep Mayapur Simanta Deep Go Druma Deep Madhya Deep Kola Deep Rituji Jana Deep Modya Druma Deep Ruta Deep Atmaka Shri Nava Deep Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Dwadasha Vanatmaka Shri Vrajamandala Ki Jai. Dodasha Upavana Ki Jai. Shri Shamakunda Radhakunda Jamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhaji Ki Jai. Jai Bhakti Vignavanashana Shri Nishingadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravada Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Vraja Mandala Shri Gauda Mandala Shri Kshetra Mandala Ki Jai. Chari Vaishnav Sampradaya Ki Jai. Chari Vaishnav Acharya Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande. Hari 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 Bo. And now let's see if there's any announcements. I'll tell you one thing that's happening. Bhadra Purnima. We got to distribute at least 10,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams. This is true charity work. If you want to make the world a better place, that's how to do it, is to propagate Srimad Bhagavatam. And all blessings will come to those who endeavor in this way. So let's keep in mind that we're counting down right now to September 2nd. On that date is Bhadra Purnima. It's a worldwide event now. Everybody on the planet will be working together to distribute as a team at least 10,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. I want you to imagine for a minute what 10,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam would look like stacked in one place. What would it look like? Approximately, I mean, can you describe it? What?
Almost a big mountain.
Priya Kishori, was that you?
Yes, Prabhu.
Tell us what it would look like.
I said it would look like a very big mountain.
I was thinking it looked like 2-3 Costco's.
2 or 3 Costco's.
Filled with books.
Our Radha Venkat could figure it out. He could make a graph that would show exactly what it would look like in relationship to Costco. And that would be nice. We would like to show the relationship of a stack of 10,000 sets of Bhagavatams in relationship to Costco. And then we have to all we have to do is really desire intensely to distribute at least 10,000 sets of Bhagavatams worldwide. And then we have to apply ourselves, just like Mother Yashoda tried to tie up Krishna with rope. And she tried and she wasn't successful, but then he allowed her. So Lord Chaitanya will allow us to do this, but only if we really, really want to do it. And if we have that burning desire and we try to our heart's content, then our lives will become successful. Not that they aren't already to some degree, but we can move to higher and higher levels of intimacy with Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Prabhu, Guru Maharaj just gave you Siva.
What did you find a picture of the 10,000 books with next to Costco? Who was that? Huh?
That was Shraddha Mataji.
Oh, Shraddha, you're on mute.
I think she may be on the phone.
Oh, okay. She's selling a set right now, I think. All right. Or hopefully 10,000 sets. Any other thoughts about the 10,000 sets of Bhagavatams?
Is that
Houseful?
goal, Prabhu?
Huh?
It's a global goal, right?
Hare Krishna, Vaisesika Prabhu.
Well, unless you want to take it as a personal vow.
Houseful?
Hare Krishna, Hansapriya.
So if we made a wall of Srimad Bhagavatam,
It would be
all
bigger
around-
than Trump's wall, right?
Yeah, exactly. No virus can get in.
Okay. If we made a wall, Radha Venkat Prabhu can tell us that too. If we made a wall of sets of Srimad Bhagavatams, would it cover the border between Mexico and America? Okay, what else? Thank you. That was very helpful, Hansapriya.
Krishna Prabhu, I think it will be an ocean of mercy with which the whole world will be flooded.
I think you're an ocean of mercy. Otherwise, why would you be thinking about these things? That's the real mercy, is to think about how to do good for others. And if you feed people, then they'll get hungry later on. But if you give them Bhagavatam, they can remember that they have an intimate relationship with Krishna. And people, we were just reading the Bhagavatam, Srivas Pandit Prabhu and I, that when you get a court order, you have to fulfill it. So people get their karma, it's like a court order, and they have to take it. So no matter what you do for them on a physical level, they still have to take their lumps. It's just going to come, the karma. But if you give them Krishna consciousness, then they karmani nirdahati kintucha bhakti bhajam. Not only can they overcome their karma, but there's no limitation to how much you can practice bhakti. And that was mentioned, tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatamu paryada talabhyate dukkha varanyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabhira ramhasa. Narada said that you can go on practicing devotional service. There's no limitation, whereas a limitation on what you can do for yourself materially. There's not much wiggle room at all. What else? Anything else about 10,000 sets of Bhagavatams?
Houseful?
Say what?
Houseful, Guru Maharaja.
What kind of house? I mean, are we talking about the White House, or are we talking about, a little house? Double wide trailer?
It's a estate.
An estate. Okay. Radha Venkat Prabhu will figure it out.
It will be 380. It will be, if we stack it, it will be 380 Eiffel Towers.
380 Eiffel Towers. We should have a few graphics about what 10,000 sets are compared to other landmarks in the world. One of them's Walmart, Costco, the Eiffel Tower, somebody's house, and things like that.
Sure.
We have to be able to envision what 10,000 sets look like in order to help us go forward and distribute. Priya.
Oh, it was very interesting because when we were studying in school, we used to study like the architectural amazement of the pyramids in Egypt. And if just thinking about it, if there were 10,000 Bhagavatams stacked in that manner, that would actually be a historical thing.
So you studied calculus till you were blue in the face, so maybe you can figure it out. Comparative size between the pyramids, you just look it up on how big they are, what their volume is, and then you figure it out from each unit size using calculus that you learned. Okay, what other announcements do we have? I can tell Malini's ready to go with some announcements.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept
Hare
my humble
Krishna.
obeisances.
Mine to you.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada. Prabhu, regarding the Bhadra Purnima, as you mentioned, every year we used to have sannyasis visiting ISV, and we used to have a huge push for Bhadra Purnima. So one of the thoughts was that, can we invite the sannyasis on our Zoom call for a Sunday program or whichever time which is convenient, and then we could still inspire devotees to take
Yes.
and distribute Bhagavatam.
You make a list of who you want to come, and I'll move heaven and earth to make
His
sure it
Holiness
happens.
Gopal Krishna Maharaj is definitely our main star, because he's always
Benefactor.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. So if we can have, and we can make a list of other swamis as well.
Okay, our Sunday class starts at 5. That means it's what, 6:30 in India?
It's 5:30.
5:30.
5:30 only.
Mm.
Okay, so I will do my best. I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, a million times removed of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj.
He does the disciple sangha same time, so that would be perfect timing for him.
I see it's already working, because the voice of Hansapriya will go a long way to get this done. If I have her endorsement and Bali Mardan Prabhu, I think that we can do it. Okay, good. Anyone else? Make a list. You send me the list, and I will do my duty.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
We'll send you this, Prabhuji.
All right. What other announcements do we have?
Prabhu, today we are actually continuing with our calling party. We are not stopping. So we're going to go from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And today we are going to especially focus on how can we do better in terms of our calling, or what other follow-ups can we do, and how can we make it easier for ourselves, for other devotees, to remove any obstacles if they are facing in calling or reaching out to people. So that would be our theme today. And then we'll also try to see if we can look into the Facebook or the social media calling as well today.
What about showing video clips to people?
Yes, Prabhuji, that is also in works. We are looking into it. One is the Krishna book that we are trying, and the other is Kunjari's video. We are trying to see how we can make it better. We can share it with everybody.
Well, even before it's better, why can't you just share it now?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, we can do that.
I mean, try it out as a double-blind experiment, and have some groups of people just try to get people to watch the video, and say, I have a miraculous video of a child who's 2.5 years old giving a Bhagavat Saptaha, and then come up with some witty way to get people just to watch the video. Don't tell them that we're selling books or anything like that necessarily. Just who we're with, and we're supposed to show this video to 100 people today, to invite them to this, something like that. I think it would be good to just fail forward fast, keep going with the video thing, and see what might happen.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can do that. We can try that today. We can all post it on our Facebook pages and all the groups that we are in. And
more graphics, the better, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay. Facts tell, but stories sell.
Yes,
telling a story is really important. If you have a little story to tell people, like I got a story I got to tell you, even if it's a 30-second story, it's more important than facts.
Yes.
What else? Chitralekha Saki, where are you, and how's it going? I'm not sure if she's available or not, but I saw her name, so I thought I'd ask.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my most humble obeisances. Thank you so much.
Adramte.
I'm in France, and
France is going really well, I heard. The party is expanding there, right?
Dhanananda Maharaj is a super powerhouse.
His utsahan is all pervading. I'm seeing the newsletter coming from France. It's fantastic.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, and he also takes a lot of inspiration from you. He always talks about your...
Well, from his lips to the Lord's ears, that's my great fortune in life, that such a Vaishnav would think of me at any point. Thank you very much. Great to hear from you. And please give my best to your whole family, to the whole France yatra.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for joining. So it's an international program. It's not just ISV. We're looking for global cooperation, and so it has an international flavor. What other things, Malini? Anything else?
Tomorrow we are also trying to do a special session with the Yuga Dharma Ashram team to come and help us. So that is still to be decided, but it's coming. Most likely it's tentatively scheduled for 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, Sunday.
That's smart. This is called the Slipstream Principle. Find somebody who's doing it well, and then get behind them and learn what they're doing, and just imitate and emulate what they're doing. Fantastic. Thank you.
They have been so helpful, Prabhu, so far. Actually, it's through their inspiration we started these calling parties, this calling Sankirtan, and now we are also requesting their guidance on the Facebook and internet as well. So we are so grateful for whatever they're doing for us.
This was Prabhupada's instruction. Back in 1973, he said those who are doing well should go out and teach the others. And he wanted it to conflagrate and spread all over the planet, this book distribution. So when we learn it from them, we're supposed to pass it on to as many people as we can. You get way more credit when you're able to propagate it, and not just us do it well, but we want to see that everybody's doing it and taking it up so that the planet gets covered with transcendental literature.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, so 2 p.m.
Today 2 p.m. and tomorrow also 2 p.m. Prabhu. Today.
Fantastic. Never a dull moment here on our way back to Godhead. All right, any other things? Announcements?
Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu distributed 10 Bhagavatam sets yesterday in India.
Haribo! Krishna, how did you do it?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. My family distributed it, Maharaj.
Fantastic. Very good, very good. Sadhu, sadhu. More Bhagavatam set.
After the Bhakti Vinod Thakur marathon, devotees who have already reached out to many people, they're responding back. Sri Kumar Prabhu distributed 2 more Bhagavatam sets.
Haribo! It's like gardening. You have to plant the seeds and go back and cultivate them, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. Can you tell us anything about the cooks? Avantika?
Yes. Today's Prashadam was cooked by Bhaktivatsal Prabhu, Hansapriya Mataji, Radhabala Prabhu, Radhika Prema Mataji, Hari Sankirtan Prabhu, Malini Mataji, Venugita Mataji, and Manjulakanta Mataji.
Haribo! Sharira Dijaja Jyotindriya Taheka Jive Pele Vishaya Sagare Dharma Jedi Bhayati Lobo Muisu Durmati Take jita katita samsare Krishna boru doyamoy Kori bare jihajar Shaprashad nadi loba Shayanamrita pao Radha Krishna guna gao Preme dako Shri Caitanya Nitai Preme dako Shri Caitanya Nitai Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sapapunya Vatam Rajan Vishwaso Navajayate Prasade Sarva Dukhanam Hanirasyo Bajayate Prasanna Chetaso Yashu Buddhiparya Vatishtate Tayopa Pukta Straganda Vasalankara Charchitaha Utishta Bojino Dasyastava Mayam Jayemahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasada Ki Gaura Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Dai Gaura Haribo Dai Gaura Haribo 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 Haribo. Please come take prasadam. Hare Krishna. Please be careful. There's a virus going around, and the main way it spreads is through transmission from others. So the best way to avoid it is to wash your hands with soap as often as possible, especially if you're touching other things, to wear a mask when you're in public, and don't touch your face. Just remember that it's a pandemic, and so it's going around, and just remain careful and vigilant for this time so that you can protect yourself. Thank you for considering my request. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpadurvishta kripasnabe vachapatitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, devotees, for coming and staying for hours and hours and hours and chanting the holy names and listening to Krishna Katha. Can everyone please unmute and say Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Say Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama. Rama.
Hare Rama.
Say Hare Rama, Hare Krishna.
Hare Rama. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We are the Hare Rama, Hare Krishna people. Thank you very, very much.
Thank
Gaur
you.
Premanande Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.